This is the story of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
People of Earth, this is Prostetnik Vogon Jeltz of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council. Your planet is scheduled for demolition.
My planet was blown up one morning. That's why I'm dressed like this, in my dressing gown. Later, I was thrown off a spaceship, still in my dressing gown.
Officer, my name is Ford Prefect. I was born 600 light years from Earth near Betelgeuse. I am a researcher for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Perhaps the most remarkable,
certainly the most
successful book
ever to come out of the great publishing corporations of
Ursa Minor.
I think something's got into it.
Like gin?
Like it's being updated.
In fact, I have been shot at, insulted... Stop poking me! Regularly disintegrated.
This is my last body, my last life.
Deprived of tea.
This is my revenge body, my kill Arthur dead body. So I have to fight to get it too.
Recently, I crashed into a swamp and had to spend 5 years in a damp cave.
And did you have a wonderful time?
That is Arthur Dent. He's from Earth, but has been stranded in your prehistoric era for a while.
Islington has that effect on people, even 2 million years ago.
And now England need just 28 to win the final test. And Fred Midero thing, what on earth is that?
It looks like 2 men and a Chesterfield sofa.
Exciting, isn't it, Earthman?
For a moment there, I thought I heard sounds like some sort of Danish chopped sausage.
Slarty butt fast.
Good God!
Hello, robot.
Hello, mattress.
Where are we going?
We're going to confront an ancient nightmare of the universe.
And where are you going to drop us off? What I need is a strong drink and a peer group.
You had one pan-galactic gargle blaster too many.
That's not technically possible.
All right, hand over all your cheese footballs. And those little savoury twig things, the ones with the tasty brown paint on.
For a flight deck, this looks very like the lobby of an Italian restaurant.
Having served my time on the Heart of Gold, I know an improbable event when it materializes a 6-foot stuffed pink aubergine in my shower cubicle.
Pleased to be of service.
Okay, dude. I want you to imagine that I have an extremely powerful Kilozap blaster pistol in my hand.
You do have a Kilozap blaster pistol in your hand?
Lucky. You never know what you're going to grab up a wall bracket in a hurry.
Gentlemen, raise your seats.
All together now.
Behold, a fiery streak in the void.
Wow. Can't they see it's a spaceship?
They have no idea anything could exist up there. Until tonight.
Imagine the impact of this vision on a species whose entire philosophy demands that they are the only sentient creatures in creation.
It'll have to go.
Look, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Is it dangerous?
Think of a number. Any number.
5.
Wrong.
Oh.
If everything you've shown us is true, then we don't stand a Welk's chance in a supernova.
What's a Welk got to do with a supernova?
It doesn't stand a chance in one.
We are going to shoot you.
You're kidding. Okay, you're not kidding.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Tertiary Phase, an above-the-title production for BBC Radio 4.
Here I am, brain the size of a... No, never mind.
Welcome to Airchecks. That was the trailer to the tertiary phase of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We will be presenting a full episodes of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Dirk Gentley's Holistic Detective Agency for the next 6 episodes as a tribute to Douglas Adams. The beginning starts at episode 21, R1 on September 16, 2023. All of the episodes, including those completed after Adams's death, are referred to as fits after Lewis Carroll's The Hunting of the Snark, An Agony in 8 Fits. In 1981, upon a rebroadcast of the 12 episodes of the first 2 series, it was decided that the Christmas episode, which previously had no episode number, would be called Fit the Seventh, and the episodes in the second series, which had first been billed as Fit the First to Fit the Fifth, representing 5 parts of the second series, would become Fit the Eighth to Fit the 12th. In November 2003, 2 years after Adams's death and 23 years after the production on the secondary phase had ceased, a new radio adaptation of Adams' unadapted novel Life, the Universe and Everything was announced. This would become the 3rd series of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on radio. Dirk Maggs, a friend of Adams, was chosen to create, direct and co-produce the adaptations. Maggs had previously consulted with Adams on potential radio adaptations for the final 3 books in 1993 and 1997. The project was restarted in September 2001 by Maggs, Helen Chatwell, and Bruce Hyman, with help from Jane Belson and Ed Victor. At the time of the announcement, it was stated that the original goal was to transmit the 6-part adaptation of the 3rd novel starting in February 2004, with the remaining 8 episodes comprising the final 2 novels. A 4th and 5th series based on So Long, and Thanks for All the Fish and Mostly Harmless were to have been transmitted in September 2004. Soon after the 6 episodes comprising the 3rd series had been recorded by Above the Title Productions, a minor legal dispute over the online availability of episodes arose between the production company and the Walt Disney Company, which had started production on the Hitchhiker's film, also in 2003. This led to a delay in transmitting the 3rd series and an immediate cessation in the production of Series 4 and 5. 46, eventually a deal was worked out, and the Tertiary Phase was first broadcast on BBC Radio 4 on September 21, 2004. Here's the beginning of the Tertiary Phase of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, entitled Fit the 13th.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Tertiary Phase.
This is the story of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Perhaps the most remarkable, certainly the most
successful book
ever to come out of the great publishing corporations of
Ursa Minor.
Now in its 7 to the power of 16th edition, it has been continuously revised and upgraded, including being fitted with a highly experimental jog-proof, splash-resistant heat shield.
And a sophisticated new voice circuit.
Not always with complete success. The earliest origins of the guide are now, along with most of its financial records, lost in the mists of time and the document shredders of Megadodo Publications. But it is worth mentioning, among other things, that every world on which the guide has ever set up an accounting department has shortly afterwards perished in warfare or other natural disaster. So it is interesting, but not very interesting, to note that 2 or 3 days prior to the destruction of Earth to make way for a new hyperspace bypass, there was a dramatic upsurge in the number of UFO sightings, not only over Lord's Cricket Ground in London, but also above Glastonbury in Somerset, the very site selected for the new Hitchhiker's Guide Financial Records Office, just hours before the Vogon demolition fleet arrived.
People of Earth, this is Prostetnik Vogon Jeltz of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council. Your planet is scheduled for demolition.
So that would seem to have been that, as far as the Earth was concerned, except that there were 3 survivors.
Arthur Dent had basically assumed that he was the only native
ape-descended Earthman to escape from the Earth,
because his only
companion, disconcertingly called Ford
Prefect,
had revealed himself to be a Hitchhiker's Guide researcher from somewhere near Beetlejuice.
And not from Guildford, after all. So when, against all conceivable
probability, they were rescued by a ship piloted by the infamous Zaphod Beeblebrox, and were astonished to find him accompanied by a certain Trillian, once
Tricia Macmillan, a rather nicely descended ape person that Arthur once met at a party in Islington,
it could only be because their ship was powered by the
infinite improbability drive.
Which of course it was. The regular early morning yell of horror. was the sound of Arthur Dent waking up and suddenly remembering where he was. Islington has that effect on people, even 2 million years ago. Arthur has been living in the prehistory of the insignificant little blue-green planet where he was born, some 2 million years later, which is a terribly lonely position for any being other than a member of the species Hurrah-Hurrah to find itself in. Members of the species Hurrah-Hurrah would of course take it in their stride, because they live backwards in time anyway, and find that getting the business of sagging bottoms and death out of the way at an early stage prepares the way for an increasingly wonderful time after your midlife crisis celebrations, finishing in a really quite extraordinarily pleasant birth. They are also the only race known actually to enjoy hangovers, because they know it guarantees that a tremendously good evening will ensue. Arthur Dent is not, however, one of their number, and takes it hard. He's also cold and damp and extremely lonely.
Looks like it's you and me again today, Horse Chestnut.
He hasn't seen Ford Prefect for 4 years, and life has, as a result, been quieter than an uneventful Tuesday in the petrified dust bowls on the abandoned fourth moon of Narp. In fact, so astoundingly quiet that he hasn't been blown up, thrown out of spaceships, sucked through space, or even just insulted. Except for once, one evening just 2 years earlier.
Evening, Sycamore 1. Evening, Sycamore 2. Evening, Ash. Evening, Elm. Ugh, be like that. Bloody elms. You try to be polite, and where does it get you? I don't know why.
What's that? Good heavens! Look! Can you see what I see?
All right, I know you're only a sycamore. You could at least pretend.
It's a spaceship! A beautiful, gleaming, silver spaceship! No, Sycamore 1, I'm not imagining it. We can escape. At least, I can escape. I know how that must sound, Sycamore 1, but your roots are here. It's landing right in front of us. I'm saved!
Dent?
That's right. I'll just get my pouch.
You're a jerk.
What?
Arthur Dent, Arthur Philip Dent.
What is it?
You're a jerk. A complete arsehole. Hey, ho.
But...
And stop whining, you snivelling little drip.
Hey! What is this? Wait a minute! Come back here and say that! Who the hell do you think you are?
Wowbagger, the infinitely prolonged, thinks he's a man with a purpose. Not a very good purpose, as he would be the first to admit, but at least it keeps him busy, keeps him on the move. For Wowbagger is one of the universe's very small number of immortal beings. Those born to immortality instinctively know how to cope with it, but Wowbagger's not one of them. Indeed, he's come to hate them, and he refers to them succinctly and often as the load of serene bastards.
The load of serene bastards?
He had his immortality inadvertently thrust upon him by an unfortunate accident with an irrational particle accelerator.
Oh dear.
A liquid lunch,
Oops.
and a couple of rubber bands. The precise details of the accident are unimportant, as no one has ever managed to duplicate the exact circumstances under which it happened. Though many people have ended up looking very silly, or dead, or more usually both, in the attempt. To begin with, it was fun. He had a ball, living dangerously, taking risks, cleaning up on high-yield long-term investments, and just generally outliving the hell out of everybody. But even the joys of immortality can't last forever.
Computer.
Yes?
I'm incredibly fed up.
Oh, dear.
It's the eternity of these Sunday afternoons I can't cope with. That and the terrible listlessness that starts to set in about 2:55. What is the time, by the way?
It's 9:30 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, well. I mean, I've had all the baths I can usefully have, haven't I?
You have indeed.
And as the afternoon moved relentlessly on to 4 o'clock, he would enter the long, dark tea time of the soul. And so things began to pall for him. The smug smiles he used to wear at other people's funerals started to fade. He began to despise the universe in general and everybody in it in particular, and thus he conceived his purpose.
I will insult the universe. I will insult everybody in it.
Ridiculous.
Is he all right?
Look, it's utterly impossible. Think of all the beings being born and dying all the time.
I don't care. I will insult them all. Individually. Personally. One by one. And in alphabetical order. There are cakes over there if you want them.
He equipped a spaceship that was built to last with a computer capable of keeping track of the entire population of the known universe, plotting the horrifically complicated itineraries involved, and joining up the resultant dots in the hope of randomly drawing a rude word. When people protested further, he would merely fix them with a steely look and say,
"It passes the time. Computer."
Still here.
Where next?
Computing. Folfanger. Fourth world of the Folfanger system. Estimated journey time, 3 weeks.
Yes.
There to meet with a small slug of the genus Earth Uphill Iptenu. I believe that you had decided to call it a brainless prat.
What network areas are we going to be passing through in the next few hours?
Cosmovid, ThinkPix, and Home Brainbox.
Any movies I haven't seen 30,000 times already?
No. There's angst in space.
I get enough of that at home.
But you've only seen that 33,517 times.
Wake me for the second reel.
All Arthur Dent found to do to pass the time was to make himself a pouch of rabbit skin, which would be useful to keep things in. Then one day he woke up in his cave, as usual.
I know what I'm going to do. Listen. Sycamore 1, Sycamore 2, Horse Chestnut, Willow 1, Willow 2. Oh, don't stop what you're doing. It's just... You listening, Elm? Well, please yourself. It's just, I have an important announcement to make. I have decided... I have made a decision. I've thought about it seriously and responsibly, and all things considered, it's the right thing for me. I feel good about it. And here it is. I will go mad.
Good idea.
What?
I went mad for a while. Did me no end of good.
Where did you just come from?
Oh, just sitting on that rock watching the sun rise. At least I think it was the sun. Yellow thing, about this big. There it is, look.
Where the hell have you been?
Oh, round and about. I just took my mind off the hook for a bit. I reckoned that if the world wanted me, it would call back. It did. See? The sub-ether sensormatic's flashing. Oh, at least it was. Probably needs a bit of a shake. If it's a false alarm, I shall go mad. Again.
Ford? I thought you must be dead.
So did I, which at least proved I wasn't. Then I decided I was a lemon for a while. I kept myself amused jumping in and out of a gin and tonic.
Where did you find a gin?
Well, I didn't. I found a small lake that thought it was a gin and tonic and jumped in and out of that. At least I think it thought it was a gin and tonic. I could, of course, have been imagining it.
I hope I am.
The point is that there is no point in driving yourself mad trying to stop yourself going mad. You might just as well give in and save your sanity.
And this is you sane again, is it? I ask merely for information.
Oh, and I tried to learn to fly. Do you believe me?
Look, Ford...
Interestingly enough, on the subject of flying, the guide now says...
Who?
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Remember? Don't panic.
I remember finding that easier to obey after I'd thrown it in the river.
Ah, but I fished it out. Here.
You never told me.
I didn't want you to throw it in again. It's playing up as it is. I think something's got into it.
What, like gin?
No, like it's being updated.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has this to say on the subject of flying. There is an O, rather a nap.
Oh, Belgium. Hey! Good to see you again, Arthur.
I haven't seen anyone for years. I can hardly even remember how to speak. I keep forgetting...
Birthdays?
Words! I practice by talking to...
What are those things people think you're mad if you talk to, like George III?
Kings?
No! The things he used to talk to. We're surrounded by them, for heaven's sake. Trees! I practice by talking to trees. I've got names for them. I call them Sycamore 1 and Sycamore 2 and...
Arthur.
What?
Insanity is a gradual process. Don't rush it.
I'm just telling you their names.
We have something else to do.
I'm not going to ask, but imagine I have.
I don't know, but things are going to happen. I've detected disturbances in the wash.
Is that why the dye ran in my dressing gown?
The space-time wash.
Of course. The new Vogon laundromat on the Bulls Pond hyperlink.
Eddies in the space-time continuum.
Is he indeed?
Listen! There seem to be some pools of instability in the fabric of space-time.
Not to mention the fabric of my dressing gown.
Arthur!
The difficulty with this conversation is that it's very different from the ones I've mostly had recently, which, as I explained, have mostly been with trees. They weren't like this. Except the ones with elms used to get a bit bogged down.
Will you listen?
I have been, but I don't think it's helping.
Oh, dear suffering Zarquon! Look! The sensormatic is flashing. Either it's a moving disturbance in the fabric of space-time, an eddy, a pool of instability somewhere in our vicinity.
Or a flat battery.
The flashes are getting stronger. There! Behind that sofa!
Why? Is there a sofa in that field?
I told you eddies in the space-time continuum.
Then tell him to come and collect his sofa.
Arthur! That sofa is there because of the space-time instability I've been trying to get your terminally softened brain to come to grips with. It's been washed up out of the continuum. It's cosmic jetsam. It's our only way out of here. Come on! It's flying away from us.
Yeehaw!
Towards you, heading off!
It's turning towards the trees!
After it, watch out for the ditch!
Ford, this is almost fun! Whatever that was.
What?
I mean, it's not often a day goes so perfectly to plan, is it?
Come on!
Damn! Missed it! Only a few minutes ago, I decided I would go mad! And here I am, already! Chasing a Chesterfield sofa across the fields of prehistoric Earth, watching out for a non-existent ditch!
Get round the other side, that's it, jump into it! Come on, Arthur, jump!
Many speak of the legendary and gigantic starship Titanic, a majestic and luxurious cruise liner launched from the great shipbuilding asteroids of Artifact Oval some hundreds of years ago now, and with good reason. It was sensationally beautiful, staggeringly huge, and more pleasantly equipped than any ship in what now remains of history. The Starship Titanic's prototype improbability field was meant supposedly to ensure that it was infinitely improbable that anything would ever go wrong with any part of the ship. Its designers didn't realize that because of the quasi-reciprocal and circular nature of all improbability calculations, anything that was infinitely improbable was actually very likely to happen almost immediately.
I need this vessel, Starship Titanic.
Thus, when Starship Titanic was launched,
May Providence be with her and all who voyage in her.
it did not even manage to complete its very first radio message, an SOS, before undergoing a sudden and gratuitous total existence failure. This only encouraged further development. As soon as the insurance underwriters had recovered enough to insert suitable clauses into the relevant policies, the luxury cruiser Heart of Gold was built around an improved improbability drive.
Free out! The Heart of Gold!
Powered by a sculpted yellow metal nugget of such purity that it was only a matter of time before some reckless two-headed adventurer would attempt to steal it.
Hi there.
But that was in the days when Zaphod Beeblebrox was young, brash, and terrifyingly electable.
And now a word from President Beeblebrox.
Bye!
Now he is older, brasher, and not in a mood to entertain the automated systems that once made the Heart of Gold a play being's dream.
Pleased to open for you.
Zark off.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
And ruin a perfectly good hangover?
Zaphod, you're spilling that everywhere.
Oh, Zark. Thanks, baby. I better send another one down to check the first one's okay. Weird. It's like my stomach's holding a party and I'm not on the guest list.
There's no one chasing us. We're free for the first time in ages.
Freedom, yeah. Here I am, Zaphod Beeblebrox. I'm the coolest guy since cryogenics, and I've got a girl with whom things seem to be working out pretty well.
Are they?
I should be feeling extremely hoopy about life right now. Except I'm not.
Look, let's go somewhere. Travel. See the universe. Come on. There's nothing the improbability drive can't do.
Yeah, like, provided you know exactly how improbable it is that what you want it to do will ever happen. Yeah, what did happen, by the way?
You had a double psychotic episode, ran off to Ursa Minor to prove some conspiracy theory, only to be found days later wandering the corridors of the Hitchhiker's Guide building looking for Zarni Whoop, a free lunch and a stiff drink. But not in that order.
Which proves I was there, right?
Well, I wasn't.
Wow. Totally too much excitement, adventure, and really wild things.
They're all hallucinations.
Hey, the total perspective vortex was not a hallucination.
Or you had one pan-galactic gargle blaster too many.
That's not technically possible.
How is that going to help?
Oh, the third drink is going down to see why the second hasn't yet reported on the condition of the first. You know, looking at you two, I think I prefer the other trillion.
Good. Because this one's just about had enough.
All drinks have reported in. Share and enjoy.
Oh, give me a break.
Holidays. One of the galaxy's most unusual holiday destinations is Alosamana Sinica. The trek from the snow plains of Liska to the summit of the ice crystal pyramids of Sastantua is long and grueling, but the view from the top is one which releases the mind to hitherto unexperienced horizons of beauty.
That'll do nicely. Computer?
Hi there! Heading to shipboard computer, standing by for...
New course heading. Alosamana Sinica.
You got it!
Trillion, if it was all a hallucination...
Yes?
What happened to that zarking robot?
Another world, another day. In 14 hours, the sun will sink hopelessly beneath the opposite horizon of Squanchella Zeta. Totally wasted effort, if you ask me. Not that there is anyone here to ask me, so I'll just keep walking around in this very tiny circle for a few hundred years more until my power cells give out.
Hello, robot.
Hello, mattress.
Oh, what's a mattress?
You are.
Oh, Flim. Happy?
But clearly you are a very stupid one.
We could have a conversation. Would you like that?
No. And after I have calculated to 10 significant decimal places what precise length of pause is most likely to convey a general contempt for all things mattressy, I will continue to walk round in tight circles. Don't mind me, not that you do anyway.
What's a mattress?
You are a large mattress, and probably one of very high quality.
Really?
Yes.
In an infinitely large universe such as, for instance, the one in which we live, most things one could possibly imagine, and a lot of things one would rather not, grow somewhere. Thus it is that very few things actually get manufactured these days. A forest was discovered recently in which most of the trees grew ratchet screwdrivers as fruit. The life cycle of a ratchet screwdriver fruit is quite interesting. Once picked, it needs a dark, dusty drawer in which it can lie undisturbed for years. Then one night it suddenly hatches, discards its outer skin which crumbled into dust, and emerges as a totally unidentifiable little metal object with flanges at both ends and a sort of ridge and a sort of hole for a screw. This, when found, will get thrown away. No one knows what it's supposed to gain from this. Nature, in her infinite wisdom, is presumably working on it. No one really knows what mattresses are meant to gain from their lives either. They're large, friendly, pocket-sprung creatures which live quite private lives in the swamps of Scornchella Zeta. They flollop about, blowing bubbles through the water, their blue and white stripes glistening in the feeble rays of its sun. Many of them get caught, slaughtered, dried out, shipped out, and slept on. None of them seem to mind, and all of them are called Zem.
Zem? And what's your name of a robot?
Marvin.
I value a deep dejection in your diodes, robot. And I glubber for you.
Mustiel, I think you should know that your globbering has not eased my dejection by a single jot.
You should be more mattressy. We live quiet, retired lives in the swamp, where we are content to flollop and volue and regard the wetness in a fairly floopy manner.
If there is anything more unappealing, I expect it's your attention span. We've had this conversation every day since I arrived here.
We could discuss the weather a little.
I suppose so. Ahem. The dew has clearly fallen with a particularly sickening thud this morning. If I had teeth, I would grit them at this point.
Would you care to come for a flollop?
No. Not because I find the concept depressing, which I most certainly do, but because I've been fitted with this infinitely more depressing artificial leg. As it is just the one steel peg, I can only pivot on it in very tiny circles, gradually digging myself deeper into this swamp. Flolloping is therefore not an option.
Voon. I feel deep in my innermost sprung pockets that you have something on your mind.
More than you can possibly imagine. My capacity for mental activity of all kinds is as boundless as the infinite reaches of space itself, as opposed to my capacity for happiness. My capacity for happiness you could fit into a matchbox without taking out the matches first.
Right. What's a matchbox?
We are in parking orbit over Elasimana Sinica, guys!
Where?
Zaphod, where are you?
In the bathroom.
What are you doing in there?
Staying.
How are you feeling? Is that as bad as it sounds?
Hey, I was worse earlier. But then I thought I could look for someone in the universe more miserable than me. Halfway to the bridge, I realized that it might be Marvin. So I'm going back to bed.
We're parked over Elasimana Sinica. It looks beautiful from the teleport room.
Sure.
We could go down later.
Hey, no, thanks. Please.
I deactivated all of kitchen symptomatics. I've prepared the most fabulous meal for you. Oiled meats, scented fruits. And I've got a first-class degree in mathematics and a doctorate in astrophysics, but we'll let that pass. Zaphod?
I'm not hungry.
I've put some on a tray. If you don't want the candlelit supper, you can eat it in bed. Either way, we should talk things through.
No.
Is that all you've got to say? I'll take that no as a yes. Enough! Eddie, activate teleporter. Destination?
Planet surface?
Random coordinates. Transport me the hell out of Zaphod Beeblebrox's life.
You got it!
Hey, baby, you remind me of something Ford once said. He spent a whole while stuck on Earth with your monkey race, and they used to amaze him the way they kept on talking. Like just always stating the really obvious, you know? Like, it's a nice day. Or, you're very tall. Or, wait, what? Oh dear, you seem to have fallen down a 30-foot well. Are you all right? Yeah, and he thought if human beings don't keep exercising their lips, their mouths will probably seize up. Then he watched them a bit more, you know, and came up with a whole new theory. Yeah. He said that if they don't keep exercising their lips, their brains start working. Yeah. That is so true. Trillium! Trillium! You'll be back, baby.
What will become of Trillian now she has escaped the gravitational pull of Zaphod Beeblebrock's ego? Where in the space-time continuum are Arthur Dent and Ford Prefect likely to wash up? And what vital issues pivot on Marvin's artificial leg? Find out in the next bipodal part of the Tertiary Phase of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
In that episode of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, Peter Jones and William Franklin were the book. Simon Jones played Arthur Dent, Geoffrey McGivern, Ford Prefect, Mark Wing-Davey, Zaphod Beeblebrox, Susan Sheridan, Trillian, and Stephen Moore was Marvin. Roger Gregg played Eddie, Andy Taylor, Zem, and Toby Longworth was Wowbagger. The announcer was John Marsh. The surround mix was by Paul Dealey, and the live FX by Ken Humphrey. The script editor was John Langdon, and the music was by Paul Wicks-Wickens. The production assistants were Laura Harris and Joe Wheeler. The programme was adapted, directed, and co-produced by Dirk Maggs. The producers were Helen Chatwell and Bruce Hyman, and it was an above-the-title production for BBC Radio 4. Non-orthopedically sprung life forms are reminded that mattresses are the only sentient creatures to require regular flolloping.
That was the beginning of the tertiary phase of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, entitled Fit the 13th. Here we go with Fit the 14th.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Tertiary Phase.
Ford, I don't know if this sounds like a silly question, but what am I doing here?
Well, you know that. I rescued you from the Earth.
One of the many problems encountered in time travel is quite simply one of grammar, which is further complicated by the possibility of conducting conversations whilst you're actually travelling from one time to another.
What is it? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's an electronic book which will tell you everything you want to know.
I like the cover. Don't panic.
You'll need to have this fish in your ear.
I beg your pardon?
People of our home, this is Prospecting Vogon Puts.
People are regulars. This is Prospecting Vogon Yak.
And what has happened to the Earth?
People of Earth, this is Prosthetic Vogon Jets of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council.
It's been disintegrated.
Your planet is scheduled for demolition.
So what do I do?
Well, you come along with me and enjoy yourself.
The Encyclopedia Galactica has much to say on the theory and practice of time travel, most of which is incomprehensible to anyone who hasn't spent at least 4 lifetimes studying advanced hypermathematics. And since it was impossible to do this before time travel was invented, there is a certain amount of confusion as to how the idea was arrived at in the first place. The most plausible rationalization states that time travel was, by its very nature, discovered simultaneously at all periods of history. But this is clearly bunk. The trouble is that quite a lot of history is clearly bunk, the realization of which led to the immediate formation of the Campaign for Real Time. It was during its inaugural strategy meeting and coffee morning, at which it was formally agreed a real time was being had by all, that the news broke that not only had the great cathedral of Challism been pulled down in order to build a new negative iron refinery, but that the construction of the refinery had taken so long and had had to extend so far back into the past in order to allow negative iron production to start on time, that the Cathedral of Challism had now never been built in the first place. Picture postcards of the cathedral suddenly became immensely valuable and blank, which is why, as a result of time travel, much of history is now gone forever. In a footnote, the Campaign for Real Timers explained that just as easy travel eroded the differences between one country and another, and between one world and another, so time travel is now eroding the differences between one age and another. The past, they say, is now truly like a foreign country. They do things exactly the same there.
Watch out! What was that? Something red.
No, it goes straight past Foster at Sillimidon and over the boundary for 4 lovely runs. And now England need just 28 to win the final test on this near-perfect day at Lord's. Holden returning the ball, and Fred my Darrow thing. What on earth is that?
It looks like 2 men and a Chesterfield sofa. Can anybody tell me what is going off? Henry, I don't know.
Where are we? Somewhere green. Shapes. I need shapes.
Excuse me, sir, is this your sofa?
What was that?
Something blue.
Shape. It is blue-shaped, like a policeman.
Come along, you two, let's be having you.
We have a man seems to have a heart attack at the nursery end. St. John's Ambulance.
Ford, if I didn't know I was going mad, I'd say this place looks astoundingly, terrifyingly, horrifically like Lord's cricket ground.
Very astute of you, sir.
Ah, it is a policeman, Ford. There's always a policeman at Lord's. What are we going to do?
What do you want to do? Get a beer?
I want to hear you say I've been dreaming for the past 5 years.
You've been dreaming for the past 5 years.
Come along now.
All right, 4 3/4.
To control. Casualty's name is Dirk. History of heart trouble. Get to how he looks dodgy.
It's all right, officer. This is all a dream. Ask him. He was in it.
Dreamy, eh? Account for the dressing gown, would it?
Oh, no. The dressing gown's just a hallucination, you see. It's what I was wearing when the Earth was demolished to... I've got a bone in my beard. I've got a beard. Tell you what I'll do. I'll be the one over there passing out. How about that? Good idea?
Officer, my name is Ford Prefect. I was born 600 light years from Earth near Betelgeuse. I am a researcher for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Bit old for student pranks, aren't we, sir?
That is Arthur Dent. He's from Earth, but has been stranded in your prehistoric era for a while.
Yes, well, don't let it happen again.
Well, Henry, I don't think there have been any strange things appearing on the pitch since...
It was in 1932, Fred.
Ah, now what happened then?
Well, Fred, I think it was Cantor facing Wilcox, coming up to bowl from the pavilion end, when a spectator suddenly ran straight across the pitch.
There's nothing actually very mysterious about that, is there?
No, but he did claim to have seen something materialise at Sillimidon, an alligator of some kind, if you can believe it, but no one was able to get a very detailed description. They offered to give him some lunch, but he explained that he'd already had rather a good one, so the matter was dropped, and Warwickshire went on to win by 3 wickets.
So not very like this at all, then?
No, for those of you who've just tuned in, by the way, 2 men, 2 rather scruffily attired men, and indeed a sofa, a Chesterfield, I think, have just materialised here in the middle of Lord's cricket ground.
They're carrying it off now.
Actually, can I interrupt you a moment, Fred, and say that the sofa has just vanished?
So it has. Well, that's one mystery less. So, England now only need 24 runs to win the Ashes, and I don't think I've seen anything like that at Cover Point before. Except perhaps against the West Indies.
How are you feeling?
I'm home. It's England. It's today. I'm... drinking tea in the tea tent at Lord's. The long nightmare is over. Why are you looking at me like that?
Just...
Listen, Ford, it's over. I'm finally where I belong. Nothing you can say or do...
OK. Thought you might like to look at the newspaper, that's all.
Well, no, thanks. I've read that one. Wait a minute.
Not a word.
Wait a minute. How can this be today's? I saw this years ago. The day before...
That's right.
The Earth was demolished.
Yep.
So that means the Earth is going to get demolished tomorrow.
I think you're finally getting the hang of time travel.
I don't think I can bear it again. Wait a minute.
No, don't even think about it.
If this is before I left, that must mean that I am...
Don't.
What?
Try and phone yourself up at home.
How did you know?
People who talk to themselves on the phone never learn anything to their advantage. Hello, is that Arthur Dent? Ah, hello, yes. This is Arthur Dent speaking. The Earth blows up tomorrow. No, don't hang up.
What?
Arthur, this is not my first temporal anomaly. So, finish your zarking tea and let's get out of here.
So we're not home and dry.
We could not even be said to be home and vigorously toweling ourselves off.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has this to say about towels. See Secondary Phase.
Nice! Hit!
Full toss. If they had a fielder standing where we are, the ball would drop straight into his rabbit skin bag. Now, I'd say that was also a very curious event.
Where's the ball?
I don't know. It probably rolled off somewhere. Over there, I expect.
Why didn't you tell him you caught the ball in your bag?
I don't know. I just got the feeling it might come in useful. Why are you dodging about trying to peer behind the sight screen?
That's the other thing I was going to tell you. Neither you nor the crowd have noticed what is parked behind the sight screen. I think it might be an SCP. Can you see it?
A what?
An SCP, somebody else's problem.
Oh, good. I can relax then.
Not till you tell me if you can see it.
You said that was somebody else's problem.
That's right, and I want to know if you can see it.
What does it look like?
How should I know, you fool? If you can see it, you tell me.
Ford, I insist that I am not being stupid. You really are gibbering away without any regard for logic or the normal conventions of human discourse, and all right, I know you're not human, but while you're on what is, after all, my planet, where humans come from, I think you might at least try to...
Arthur, it's perfectly simple. An SCP is something that we can't see or don't see or our brain doesn't let us see because we think that it's somebody else's problem. That's what SCP means. Somebody else's problem. The brain just edits it out. It's like a blind spot. Your only hope is to catch it by surprise out of the corner of your eye.
Oh. I can see it. It's a spaceship.
What?
Just a spaceship. Parked behind the sight screen.
Great walloping Zarquam!
What an utterly extraordinary looking thing, though. Strange that I couldn't see it.
Sometimes it's much cheaper and easier to make people think that something works rather than actually make it work. After all, the result is, in all important aspects, the same. The extraordinary-looking spaceship was not actually invisible or anything hyper-impossible like that. The technology involved in making something properly invisible is so mind-bogglingly complex that 999,999,999 times out of a billion, it's simpler just to take the thing away and hide it. For instance, the ultra-famous sciento-magician Ephrafax of Wug once bet his life that given a year, he could render the great mega-mounted Magramal entirely invisible. Having spent most of the year fruitlessly jiggling around with immense Luxo valves and refracto nullifiers and spectrum bypass-o-mats, he finally realized, with 9 hours to go, that he wasn't going to make it.
I can still see it.
So he and his friends, and his friends' friends, and his friends' friends' friends, and some friends of theirs who happen to own a major stellar trucking company, put in what is now recognized as being one of the hardest nights' work in history. And sure enough, Magramal was no longer visible. He lost the bet, and therefore his life, because he was unable to A, just say abracadabra and put it back, and B, account for the suspicious-looking extra moon overhead. The somebody else's problem field is much simpler, more effective, and can be run for over 100 years on a 9-volt battery. This is because it relies on people's natural predisposition not to see anything they don't want to, weren't expecting, or can't explain. If Ephrafax had, instead of trying to render Magramal invisible, merely rendered it pink and then erected a cheap somebody else's problem field around it, then people would have walked past the mountain, round it, even over it, and simply never noticed that the thing was there. Meanwhile, events of universe-shaking magnitude are gathering to a climax.
That's the end of the game!
Why is everybody trying to get at those guys in the middle? What have they done?
Won the Ashes!
The what?
Exciting, isn't it, Earthman?
The hallucinations just keep on coming, Ford. For a moment there, I thought I heard old... what's his name? You know, sounds like some sort of Danish chopped sausage.
Slarty Bartfast. I think your team has just won, Earthman.
Hello, Slarty Bartfast.
You are English, aren't you, Earthman?
Yes, What on earth are you doing here? Or rather, I don't know what I mean.
Winning the Ashes. You must be very proud. I must say I'm rather fond of cricket myself. Almost entertainingly dull. Though I wouldn't want anyone outside this planet to hear me say so. Oh, dear.
What are you doing here? I thought something terrible had happened.
Something terrible is about to happen.
That's generally true, isn't it? Look, if that monstrosity is your ship, can you give us a lift?
Patience, Ford Prefect.
It's just that this planet's about to be demolished.
I know.
And, well, I just wanted to make the point.
Earthman, explain precisely to me what ceremony is now taking place at the centre of the field.
Pitch.
It is a little puzzling.
You want me to explain something to you? Well, that's the presentation of the ashes to the winning captain.
It's just that if we don't go soon, we might get caught in the middle of it all again, and there's nothing depresses me more than a planet being senselessly destroyed.
I see. And these ashes are in that tiny pottery urn?
Yes.
Except, I suppose, being on it when it happens.
Patience. Great things are afoot.
That's what you said last time.
They were.
Well, true.
Meet me at my ship in 2 minutes.
Where are you going?
I have something of vital importance I have to do.
I know! You've got to get us off this planet!
The players are lined up as the urn containing the ashes is presented to the captain of the winning team.
A wonderful moment, isn't it? But there's an elderly gentleman apparently overcome with the heat, looking just a little bit like Moses. And I do declare he's demanding that he should be given the urn.
I must have the ashes. They are vitally important for the past, present, and future safety of the galaxy. Do you mind?
What in the name of Zarkin Fardwax is the old fool doing?
I have no idea. Interesting. That's the second spaceship we've seen at Lord's today. And to think I woke up in a prehistoric cave this morning. It's very impressive, hanging up there. Much sleeker than Slarty Bartfast's, isn't it?
The hatch is opening. 1, 2, 3...
Is that a cricket team arriving from some other galaxy? Or another publicity stunt for Australian margarine?
10, 11, all in white, carrying bats and balls.
And flying down with cricket pads. No, rocket pads on their shins.
How's that? They're dressed like cricketers, but they're robots.
What was that?
Hey! We must get to the ship.
What is this?
I don't want to know. This is not my planet. I didn't choose to be here. I don't want to get involved.
Well, Fred, the Supernatural Brigade certainly seems to be out in force here at Lord's today.
What I need is a strong drink and a peer group.
It's incredible! They're doing a bizarre parody of batting strokes, except that every ball they hit explodes where it lands.
I can see that.
I do not know why they are doing this, but that is what they are doing. They're not just destroying Lords, they're sending it up. Ford, they're taking them...
Precisely.
We declare...
They don't hang about.
No.
They've taken the ashes!
Good heavens!
What? Ashes! The remains of a cricket stump burnt in Melbourne, Australia in 1882 to signify the death of English cricket. A trophy. It's an Earth thing that they have come and taken.
Strange thing to want to tell us.
Strange thing to take.
Strange ship.
Clever how it just appeared 1 minute and disappeared the next.
Not the robot ship, this ship.
Good Lord. This is Slarty Bartfast's ship. It looks very different close up.
Ah, that's the somebody else's problem field at work. Now you can clearly see the ship for what it is, simply because you know it's here, whereas no one else here can.
Probably because close up, it looks much less like a spaceship and much more like a small, upended Italian bistro.
Yes, I know, but there is a reason. Come, we must go. The ancient nightmare has come again. Doom confronts us all. We must leave at once.
I fancy somewhere sunny.
Wait a minute. Ford, you won't believe this, but there's another spaceship landing near that ambulance.
Come on, Arthur, we're leaving.
Wait a minute! I think I recognize it!
Well, I really don't know what's going on here, I have to be honest, Fred. I don't think this is good for the game. Can you see exactly what's happening?
Well, some unearthly-looking chap is going up to one of the wounded spectators lying in the middle of the wicket. Never had this in my day.
Excuse me. Out of the way. Yes, I know you're mortal. Just don't bleed on me. Ah, here you are.
Help me. Please.
Deodat.
Hey?
Arthur Philip Deodat.
Yes. Yes.
You're a no-good Dumbo nothing.
What?
I thought you should know that before you went.
Nice mover. Shame about the decor.
What did you say?
For a flight deck, this looks very like the lobby of an Italian restaurant.
Deep in the fundamental heart of mind and universe, there is a reason.
I'd say the fundamental heart of mind and universe can take a running jump. This spaceship is complete pants.
It's not very high-tech, is it? Plastic ivy, cheap tiles, and those raffia-wrapped bottles you're trying to fit candles in.
The flight controls.
I refuse to be surprised.
Hold tight, please.
Whoa. Oh, on the other hand, I can't deny that the way it moves makes the Heart of Gold seem like an electric pram. How far did we just travel?
Oh, about two-thirds of the way across the galactic disk, I would say, roughly.
Not bad.
Where are we going?
We're going to confront an ancient nightmare of the universe.
And where are you going to drop us off?
I will need your help. Come. There's much I must show you and tell you.
Where's he going?
Up that green spiral staircase. How should I know? We'd better follow him.
My doctor says that I have a malformed public duty gland and a natural deficiency in moral fibre, and that I am, therefore, excused from saving universes.
The Central Computational Area.
Good grief! Are these all robots?
Yes, and this is where every calculation affecting the ship in any way is performed.
Of course, and it had to look like...
Yes, I know what it looks like, but it is in fact a complex four-dimensional topographical map of a series of highly complex mathematical functions.
It looks like a joke.
I told you, I know what it looks like.
Ford, the universe cannot possibly work like this. It's absurd.
But most of the really absurd things you can think of have already happened.
Would you care to take a seat, signore?
Yes, please.
No, thank you.
But I'm hungry.
Not a problem, sir. I come back later.
The food is artificial, and so are the customers.
Don't these robots ever clear away? Look, here's a half-eaten meal, dirty glasses.
Don't touch that breadstick! Everything is set at a precisely calculated mathematical position.
Would you care to see the wine list?
Oh, yes, please.
No, thank you.
Oh, be like that then.
Don't order anything. The knock-on effect could be catastrophic.
To your stomach alone.
Wait here, please. Before we go to the room of informational illusions, I need to make a course correction. Ah, Sergio.
Signor Slarty Bartafast. Your usual table?
No, I think I'll sit with the party over there.
Oh, but they are about to pay their bill.
Perfect timing.
As Signore wishes.
Waiter.
What on earth is he doing?
I don't know, but look, there's a pattern. It's like a sort of dance between the waiters and the customers. All the manipulation of menus, bill pads, wallets, credit cards, and paper napkins.
Oh, yes. Good grief. Is that a gun?
Peppermill.
Oh.
Oh, look. Now the customer robots are attempting to examine each other's pieces of chicken. It all means something.
Oh, you're right. Feel that vibration through the deck?
Oh, leaving so soon, signore?
Thank you, Sergio. A most satisfactory meal.
Whatever he just did, the ship has responded.
But what sort of calculation requires the replication of an Italian restaurant?
Bistromathics, the most powerful computational force known to parascience.
The bistromathic drive is a wonderful new method of crossing vast interstellar distances without all that dangerous mucking about with improbability factors. Bistromathics itself is simply a revolutionary new way of understanding the behavior of numbers. Just as Einstein observed that time was not an absolute, but depended on the observer's movement in space, so it's now realized that numbers are not absolute, but depend on the observer's movement in restaurants. The first non-absolute number is the number of people for whom the table is reserved. This will vary and bear no apparent relation to the number of people who actually turn up, or to the subset of people who leave when they see who else has turned up. The second non-absolute number is the given time of arrival, which is the one moment of time at which it's impossible that any member of the party will arrive. The third and most mysterious piece of non-absoluteness of all lies in the relationship between the number of items on the bill, the cost of each item, the number of people at the table, and what they are each prepared to pay for. And so it was only with the advent of pocket computers that the startling truth became finally apparent, and it was this. Numbers written on restaurant bills within the confines of restaurants do not follow the same mathematical laws as numbers written on any other pieces of paper in any other parts of the universe. This single fact took the scientific world by storm. It completely revolutionized it. So many mathematical conferences got held in such good restaurants that many of the finest minds of a generation died of obesity, and the science of maths was put back by years. And being put back years is precisely how a technologically unsurpassed android feels when trying to converse with a mattress.
I sense a deep dejection in your diodes, robot. It saddens me. And I globber. Globber?
Don't you think it's discouraging enough you being born a mattress without having to globber like that?
That is what we mattresses do. Unless we're flolloping. Some of us flurble. Others are taken away to be slept on. But as all of us are called Zem, we never know which. Why are you walking in circles?
Because my leg is stuck.
It seems to me that it is a pretty poor sort of leg.
I expect that you find the idea of a robot with an artificial leg pretty amusing. You should tell your friends Zem and Zem when you see them later. They'll laugh if I know them, which I don't, of course, except insofar as I know all organic life forms, which is much better than I would wish to. My life is but a box of worm gears.
But why do you just keep walking round and round in circles?
Ask me if I ever get bored.
Do you?
I gave a speech once. You may not instantly see why I bring the subject up, but that is because my mind works so phenomenally fast. Do you know, I am at a rough estimate 30 billion times more intelligent than you? Think of a number. Any number.
5.
Wrong.
Oh.
You see?
Tell me of the speech you once made. Go on.
I delivered it over there, about a mile distance. I would point, but this arm has been welded to my side. I was somewhat of a celebrity at the time, on account of my miraculous and bitterly resented escape from a fate almost as good as death in the heart of a blazing sun. You can guess from my condition how narrow my escape was. I was rescued by a scrap metal merchant. Imagine that. Here I am, brain the size of a... Oh, never mind. He it was who fixed me up with this leg. Hateful, isn't it? He sold me to a mind zoo. I was the star exhibit. I had to sit on a box and tell my story whilst people told me to cheer up and think positive.
The speech, Flurble. I long to hear of the speech you gave in the marshes.
There was a bridge built across the marshes. A cyber-structured hyperbridge hundreds of miles in length to carry ion buggies and freighters over the swamp. It was going to revitalize the economy of the Squanchella system. They spent the entire economy in building it. They asked me to open it, poor fools. I stood on the platform. For hundreds of miles in front of me and hundreds of miles behind me, the bridge stretched.
Did it glitter?
It glittered.
Did it span the miles majestically?
It spanned the miles majestically.
Did it stretch, like a silver thread far out into the invisible mist?
Yes. Do you want to hear this story?
No, Flurble. I want to hear your speech.
This is what I said. I said, I would like to say that this is a very great pleasure, honor, and privilege for me to open this bridge, but I can't because all my lying circuits are out of commission. And to make matters worse, which I never have to anyway, I hate and despise you all and declare this hapless cyberstructure open to the unthinkable abuse of all who wantonly cross her. Then I plugged myself into the opening circuits. The entire 1,000-mile-long bridge spontaneously folded up its glittering spans and sank sweeping into the mire, taking everybody with it.
Vroom! You were not bored that day.
Contrary to all recent experience, no.
Does this great ship suddenly hanging in the sky bore you?
It depends on what those white robots flying down from it have in mind. Nothing pleasant, I expect.
Up stumps.
I suppose it takes all 11 of you to remove an artificial leg. Of course.
Leg beef are wicked.
You see the sort of thing I have to contend with?
I think...
Change of batting order.
Typical.
Hello?
What arbitrary stroke has removed Marvin from his mattress swamp? What kind of artificial leg would appeal to 11 homicidal white robots in cricket pads? And how can Arthur Dent and Ford Prefect live through the most terrible war ever to ravage the universe? Only the next installment of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy can tear away the veil of ignorance.
In that episode of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, William Franklin was the book. Simon Jones played Arthur Dent, Geoffrey McGivern, Ford Prefect, Stephen Moore was Marvin, Dominic Hawksley, the cricket robots, and Richard Griffiths was Slarty Bartfast. Andy Taylor played Zem, Fiona Carew, the walkie-talkie, Teo Maggs, the boy, Toby Longworth, Wowbagger, Bruce Hyman, Deodat, and Henry Blofeld and Fred Truman were themselves. The announcer was John Marsh. The surround mix was by Paul Dealey and the live FX by Ken Humphrey. The script editor was John Langdon and the music was by Paul Wicks-Wickens. The production assistants were Laura Harris and Joe Wheeler. The programme was adapted, directed and co-produced by Dirk Maggs. The producers were Helen Chatwell and Bruce Hyman, and it was an above-the-title production for BBC Radio 4. Vogon Building and Loan advise that your planet is at risk if you do not keep up repayments on any mortgage secured upon it. Please remember that the force of gravity can go up as well as down.
That was 5th the 14th of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Well, that's it for this hour of air checks. We will have more in the next hour.